Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, a new Nick Sirianni update from NFL insider Dianna Russini. What does the future look like for the Eagles head coach? Let's talk about it right now. Welcome into the show. I'm Chase Sr. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now, and today's show is presented by Roan. Their commuter collection can really help you spice up your wardrobe so that you're looking swaggy to start off 2024. I'm wearing their commuter shirt right now, and you can get 20% off when you use the code CHATSPORTS. All of this information is available for you down in the comment section of this video. Why I like Roan and all of their products. High quality men's clothing that's going to last a really long time. Breathable, stretchable fabric. No need to go to the dry cleaner because the more that you wear these shirts, the wrinkles release with their wrinkle release technology. They also have anti-odor technology because who wants to be stinky out on these streets? And they have everything that you need. From dress shirts like this one to polos, pants, and shorts. Check them out for yourself. Use the code CHATSPORTS. That link is in the show notes down below. So a new Nick Sirianni update here. And over the last couple of days since the Philadelphia Eagles season came to an end against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, the status of Sirianni going into 2024 somewhat unknown. And yesterday, a couple of tweets and reports came out from the aforementioned Dianna Russini. First, there was this one. Both Eagles general manager Howie Roseman, head coach Nick Sirianni have been reaching out to available NFL coaches and coordinators, as well as coaching agents across the league to evaluate potential coordinator candidates to join their coaching staff as they plan for the 2024 season. You see this report, you read it out loud, and you read it to yourself, you digest it, and you're thinking, okay, the Eagles are already planning for next year with the Eagles general manager, Howie Roseman, and Nick Sirianni, step for step, hand in hand, and you're thinking that Sirianni is going to be back for next year. And there was also this report from Ian Rapoport prior to that report from Dianna Russini. And Rapoport released the information that the plan yesterday, and Jeff McLean also had this after the Eagles went down to the Bucs, was for Sirianni to meet with Eagles owner Jeffery Lurie on Wednesday and present his future plan, as well as some candidates to join this coaching staff at offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. But that meeting did not happen because of logistical reasons. Russini, a little after that initial tweet that we just talked about, then tweeted this last night at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Though this may suggest that Sirianni is safe, I'm told that he has not met with owner Jeffery Lurie, something that was not possible today because of logistical issues. Until that meeting happens, all bets are off. Nick Sirianni will meet with owner Jeffery Lurie, and he will be expected to have a plan for how he is going to improve the Eagles. This will include a pitch on potential new coordinators and assistant coaches per sources. This is why coaches around the league have been contacted. A lot of thoughts on this, and Nick Sirianni is not out of the dark yet. He could still get fired. He could return. But before we dive into some more information here on the Sirianni front, make sure you subscribe. This is a massive offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we have some great content coming out over the next couple of days and over the next few weeks and months. Regardless of what happens, we're here from you, but you got to subscribe to the channel because we could go private mode where we just release videos so that our private subscribers get them. But if you subscribe to the channel, especially if you get to 71,000 subs, you can stay in the know with all things Eagles, and we'll keep the channel public for everybody out there. Dianna Russini with more on Sirianni here. That Eagles coach Nick Sirianni going to meet with owner Jeffery Lurie, will be expected to have that plan for how he's going to improve the team. This will include a pitch on those new coordinators and assistants. My top offensive coordinator candidates, it's vast, and it's a long list. And we could go to the college ranks. We could look across the NFL. Yesterday's show, I talked about the changes that Sirianni needs to make within his offense. He didn't make adjustments. He focused, and he told this to Jeff McLean, on how the Eagles were going to get better at what they were already doing. But you need more creativity because this offense was predictable. It was vanilla. and they didn't have a lot of modern-day concepts. So in order for Sirianni to keep his job, he's going to have to impress Jeffery Lurie with his list of potential offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. And if he does not do that, like Doug Peterson did not do after the 2020 season, when it was expected that Peterson was going to come back, but then he handed over his list of candidates to Jeffery Lurie, Sirianni could get fired like Doug Peterson got fired because Lurie did not like the list of assistant coaches. My number one offensive coordinator candidate is GJ Kinne, Texas State head coach, previously the head coach of Incarnate Word, and I think that he would be able to bring fresh concepts to the table and a level of creativity. He was an Eagles practice squad quarterback, has some familiarity with this organization, and I don't think that he's ready next year or the year after that to be an NFL head coach. So you know with GJ Kinne, you're going to have an OC for the next couple of years most likely so that you can avoid this type of cycle that you're in right now trying to replace Shane Steichen. Klint Kubiak is the Niners pass game coordinator, has experience calling plays 2 years ago. Once Nathaniel Hackett got fired by the Denver Broncos, he was calling plays for that Broncos team. And now he's working under head coach Kyle Shanahan, whose offense is one of the best, most complex, and most creative in the National Football League. And as the Niners pass game coordinator, Brock Purdy has elevated to another level. So too has the game of Brandon Ayuk, who had a career year. George Kittle had his first 1,000-yard season going back to 2019, and Deebo Samuel was really good. Shane Waldron is a Sean McVay guy. He's been the Seahawks offensive coordinator, and the work that he's been able to do in maximizing Geno Smith, who defines the word mid, I think is really impressive, and a lot of teams across the NFL have been interviewing Shane Waldron. Zach Robinson with McVay right now. McVay, a part of the Kyle Shanahan tree. He is the Rams passing game coordinator, and he used to be the quarterback scout for Pro Football Focus. I kind of like that background there. If you want another offensive coordinator who might not get a head coaching job, you could go to Eric Bienemy, and this is a coach who's intense, who isn't going to be afraid to chew Jalen Hurts out like Brian Johnson probably is because he's known Hurts since he was 4 years old. And I like what Bienemy did with that bad Commanders team and obviously what he did with Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. Clearly the Chiefs and that offense, which has been lackluster this year, has missed Eric Bienemy. Kliff Kingsbury, former Cardinals coach, Texas Tech coach, this past year was the USC quarterbacks coach. Somewhat concerning that Caleb Williams nosedived a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned about Caleb Williams' personality going to the NFL level. Kliff Kingsbury is a Mike Leach air raid disciple, so he brings some creativity to the pass game in his offensive system. Frank Smith is the Dolphins offensive coordinator. A lot of you might be asking, Chase, why would Frank Smith go to the Eagles? Well, Mike McDaniel is the play caller for Miami. So if Frank Smith wants to prove to other teams that he can be a head coach in this league, come be a play caller with Philadelphia on an offense that has a lot of weapons. Byron Leftwich, somewhat lukewarm on him, given how it ended with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but former Buccaneers offensive coordinator. And then Darrell Bevell is the Dolphins quarterbacks coach. I think Tua Tagovailoa has maximized. I don't think he's very good, but the fact that he put up numbers like he did is a credit to Darrell Bevell and the work that he's done as the Dolphins quarterbacks coach. And he was the Seahawks offensive coordinator back in 2015 when they made it to the Super Bowl. So those are my top offensive coordinator candidates as of right now. My top defensive coordinator candidates, these 5 names right here. Jesse Minter, we've talked about him a lot on the show, Michigan defensive coordinator. Mike Macdonald used to be Michigan's defensive coordinator under Jim Harbaugh. He's now the DC for the Baltimore Ravens, #1 defense in the NFL, and Jesse Minter is running that same defensive system. Mike Vrabel, it looks as though right now he might not get a head coaching job. So if I'm Jeffery Lurie, I'm Howie Roseman, I'm Nick Sirianni, if Vrabel still wants to coach and he doesn't want to wait it out, I'm paying him $3 to $5 million to be the Eagles defensive coordinator. The average salary for a coordinator in this league is $1 million. So Vrabel, come be the DC on a defense that has some really good players up front. We're going to invest in linebacker and safety as well as corner, and you can improve your stock and get a head coaching job in 1 or 2 years. The Eagles had Denard Wilson in the building. A lot of players really liked him. And when I interviewed C.J. Gardner-Johnson at the Super Bowl last year, I asked him, who could step in and be a good defensive coordinator in the future, and who's helped to make the seamless transition from slot corner to safety. He said the guy here to my right, Denard Wilson. Nick Sirianni did not hire him, and because of that, Wilson wanted to leave. He goes to the Ravens, becomes their defensive backs coach. Now he's getting DC interviews across the NFL. Can you fix that fractured relationship and bring him back? Players absolutely loved him. If you want a veteran defensive mind in here who can be a de facto head coach of the defense like Mike Vrabel, Leslie Frazier can be that guy. Or if you want a young up-and-coming defensive mind, kind of like Jesse Minter here, you go Glenn Schumann, who is the Georgia co-defensive coordinator. He's learned under Kirby Smart, and he can maximize a Jordan Davis. He can maximize a Jalen Carter, and if Nakobe Dean can stay healthy, has familiarity there with the Georgia scheme, as well as some of those players. Jesse Minter, why is he my top defensive coordinator candidate? Runs that pro-style defense, which is all the rage right now in football, not just the NFL, but in college football as well. And we've seen how these college concepts offensively have translated to the NFL level. They've worked, and it's time. If these offenses at the college level are going buck wild, these defensive schemes and concepts can translate as well. They're doing so with the Baltimore Ravens. So Minter runs that pro-style defense that the Ravens run. I was at the national championship, really impressed with how Michigan audibled, how they got pressure with 4, the instincts of the DBs on the back end. Michigan had a stop rate this year of 81.6%, allowed 10.4 points per game, number 1 in the NFL. Wolverines didn't give up 25 points all year, number 1 total defense, and number 2 pass defense, 3 and outs, takeaways, second fewest 20-yard plays. What have we seen under Jonathan Gannon? What did we see all this year under Sean Desai and Matt Patricia? Eagles couldn't get off the field on third downs. They do so with Jesse Minter. They couldn't turn the football over defensively. Michigan got a lot of takeaways, and this Eagles defense gave up a lot of explosive plays. Minter's defense haven't done that. And you get that young, fresh defensive perspective and that youthful energy which fits and coincides with Sirianni's infectious energy when things are going right. More from Russini on Nick Sirianni here. Eagles are trying to figure out where to go next after their unexpected collapse apexed with a season-ending loss to the Bucs in the NFC wildcard game on Monday. Philadelphia lost 6 of its last 7 games after opening up the season 10-1, coming off that Super Bowl run last year. A major shift occurred after the 2022 season when Shane Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, they left for head coaching jobs with the Colts and Cardinals respectively. Both sides of the football took turns for the worse, but issues became far more noticeable on defense. Sirianni originally tabbed Sean Desai as DC and then turned to Matt Patricia in mid-December. The move did not help, culminating with the hapless defensive play in the Bucs loss. Meanwhile, Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson has received head coaching interest during this hiring cycle. Panthers, Titans have asked permission to interview Johnson, team sources said. And I want to go back to what I lightly referenced a little bit earlier. Nick Sirianni is not out of the woods yet. Lurie has legitimate questions. And we popped up the photo of him on yesterday's show when we were live. And everybody saw the look on Lurie's face, right? During the ESPN broadcast on Monday night. He has questions. Nick, what happened? How did this team collapse with all of this talent? How did it seem as though after you built up a great culture after Doug Peterson, that culture just dissipated? And you have mottos for your football team that are up at the practice facility. And we didn't live up to those standards that you preach all the time. Effort, accountability, team. How are you going to be able to bring this locker room together? And then also, which coordinators, which assistant coaches are you going to bring in here? Because clearly, your decisions that you made with Sean Desai, Brian Johnson, they were not good enough. So with that, I ask you this. Do you want Sirianni back in 2024? B for back, F for fired. Obviously, this is the hot topic right now in all of Philadelphia for Eagles fans, so comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, your one-stop shop for the best Eagles coverage all off season.